Many years ago, there were two main organizations that dealt with rehoming of animals, the SPCA and the Animal Anti-Cruelty League, both of which are still in existence and doing a very good job. There were also the varying breed clubs that dealt with rehoming of their specific breed, and many of those too are in existence to this day. But within the last, say, 5-6 years, there has been an explosion of rescue schemes popping up all over the place. I hear of new ones so quickly, almost every month or every few months there's another one in existence. Now these rescue schemes are no-kill places. In the past, with the Animal Anti-Cruelty and specifically the SPCA, they had a system of, after a certain number of days, the dogs were euthanized. This meant that the people who were dumping their dogs at these places, there was a pretty good chance that if they weren't found a new home, they would be euthanized. I don't know if this no-kill policy has caused a huge rise in the number of dogs that are looking for homes. It certainly feels like that to me. In the past, if somebody went to the SPCA and said, "I'm surrendering this dog," they had in the back of their mind that they probably wouldn't know that this dog would be euthanized. These days, you can go to any of these rescue schemes and say, "I don't want this dog anymore. I'm going overseas. I'm going to a smaller place." And how convenient, you can leave your dog there. I really get upset about this. There are no consequences to having to go to these places and dumping your dogs on them so that they can find a home for you. Over this past Christmas period, I was absolutely inundated with people begging on Facebook for homes for all these dogs. This person was going overseas, that person was going into a smaller place, and then of course you got the heartbreaking stories of, this dog has been in a shelter for 8 years and all it wants is a home for Christmas. 8 years, 9 years to live in a no-kill rescue center? All right, it's all the dog knows, but now it's desperate for a home for Christmas. That is begging people to take on these puppies. And unfortunately, social media is very good at doing this, making people feel guilty that they must take these dogs on because shame, it's been in a rescue center for 8 years. Now, in the past, that dog would have been euthanized, but now these shelters are getting more and more dogs dumped on them, more and more dogs staying there, and they are not finding homes. It's a very, very sad situation. And then you go on the line, onto the internet, and you find all these begging letters. This dog desperately needs a home. Shame this dog, the owners are going overseas in 2 days' time and they desperately want a home for their dog. Why did they not think about that before they started planning? And it goes on and on and on. I could not believe the number of notifications on Facebook I got this last December. I think it's the most I've ever had, begging for homes for all these dogs. But in another posting, up will come, "Don't get a puppy for Christmas because shame, here's a picture of it as an adult in the shelter." So on one hand, they're begging people to take these dogs home for Christmas, that's all the dog wants. And on the next section, they're saying, "Don't buy a puppy for Christmas because it's going to land up in a shelter." So the begging and the pouring of heartbreak out there is very hard for people to resist. But yet The shelters are full, and they're getting fuller by the minute. I just don't believe that there are consequences to these people that dump their dogs there. I'm not talking about genuine rescues. That's for another time. I'm talking about these people who, they get a puppy, they don't want it after a couple of months because it's a problem, or they're going overseas. And don't let me start on that, because you can take dogs overseas these days. And these moving to a smaller place that don't allow dogs. You know, if I had a dog for 8 years and I had to go to a smaller place, or I had to move, I would make darn sure that I would find a place where my dog can be with me. There's no ways I would dump my dog onto some shelter, because I know that they won't do anything with it. They won't euthanize it. That dog will be staying there until a home is found, or forever. So their responsibility ends there. I don't like that. I believe that if these people had the consequences of knowing, yes, you can leave your dog here, but it's going to be euthanized within 2 weeks if it doesn't find a home, those people would try harder to make a decision. Maybe I should take my dog with me. Maybe I'd find a spot where I could take my dog or my cat with me. I just feel that there are no consequences these days for people who feel they don't want their dog anymore. And nothing upsets me more than these 12, 13-year-old dogs that land up in a rescue scheme because the owners just don't want them anymore. Shame on you people for doing that. And I think there should be more consequences that these rescue schemes put to people than just accepting all these dogs that are pouring into them. We never had numbers like that in the past. Never. And I just find it very worrying that these rescue schemes are filled to the brim with these dogs that will never find a home, and all that we get on the Facebook and on the internet and that are begging people to take homes or to give homes for these dogs. It's a very hard one and a very difficult one to solve.